We're not real brothers, we're sports brothers. And this week, Ryan Newman is indestructible, Aaron Gordon needs a lawyer, and Jameis Winston can see. Here we go.
This is Sports Brothers, coming to your ear holes and eye holes from the Parish Healthcare Podcast Studio.
Hey everyone, welcome to Sports Brothers. It is February 19th, and we've got a fun show for you today. A lot of good stuff that we're going to get to a little bit later, including a story about a soccer player that I don't want to spoil it. You will never guess what this story is about if you haven't seen the headlines yet. So you definitely want to stick around for that. We've got Jeff Turner from the Orlando Magic coming on to talk about the second half of the basketball season and the race for the playoffs. But what we want to get to first is, of course, the story of the week, Ryan Newman. And kind of breaking news as we're recording this podcast, we found out he just walked out of the hospital at Halifax Health in Daytona Beach less than 48 hours after he gets in that incredible wreck where he's broadsided at 200 miles an hour, upside down. The entire driver's side of his car is collapsed in on him. They had to cut the top of the car off just to get him out. Nobody knew at that point if he was even going to live. And he's walking out in this amazing picture with his two daughters. And that is why Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man, is my sports brother of the week. I think we need to upgrade that nickname, though. Rocket Man's a good nickname, but man, just indestructible that guy is.
I have a couple of ideas. I think Wolverine, because of he had to have been injured, and then we see the pictures. Roush Fenway says he's been treated and released, but he is literally walking out. Doesn't look like anything's wrong with him holding hands.
What did they treat
with his
him
two
for?
daughters? I don't know, but they said he was in serious condition the night of the wreck. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe when he does some interviews and talks about what exactly the issues were that when he went to the hospital. But now there's no scrapes on him. No sling, nothing. I mean, he is walking right out of the Halifax Medical Center in Daytona. The other nickname I had that I think this is my favorite, and I hope this one sticks, the Armadillo. Because somehow he was armored. He was armored in that car, and he is, like you said, he's indestructible.
I came up with a couple too. The Boulder.
Oh, yeah.
Thought was okay. The Newtonium Man. Play on titanium or something. And I don't know.
Newman.
Yeah, Newman, Ryan Newman. And then you said armadillo, and I thought the Tortuga turtle shell, same sort of thing. I like armadillo more, though. I think we should try and get that one to catch on. But, I mean, based on the way that side of the car was collapsed. And I know a few years ago, when they did the whole car tomorrow thing, they made the brilliant decision to move the driver slightly more to the middle of the car. And that decision, along with the Hans devices, along with the safer barriers around the tracks and everything else that they do to keep these guys safe, the fire suits, probably saved his life, because the way that side of that car was crushed in, I thought he was going to come out looking like Harvey Dent at the end of The Dark Knight, which is, I know that sounds grotesque, but like really everybody at that track, when we were watching this thing live, at first you didn't realize how bad this thing was going to be. And then they're not showing it on camera anymore. The announcers sort of stopped talking about it. We had a TV in Victory Lane where I was at where we could kind of watch. Then they go to commercial without ever going back to it, and he's still in the car. And I think that's when everybody realized this was going to be so much worse than we first thought. But, I mean, just remarkable.
Right. When you're in the broadcast business, we realize now, and if you watch NASCAR religiously, you'll know this as well, is they will not show the replay of the wreck until they see, that netting dropped by the driver that signifies that they are okay and they're going to be able to get out. They don't go to the replay until that happens, or they get word from some of the emergency personnel that he's going to be okay. Never got the replay, and they go back to Jeff Gordon later when they're still trying to figure out what's the deal with Ryan Newman, and people are tweeting that he had tears in his eyes, and it felt eerily similar to 2001 when Dale Earnhardt Sr. went up, and they didn't really have any word on the injuries, and that's why Joe Gibbs apologized in Victory Lane for Denny Hamlin celebrating. They didn't know that it was as serious as it was, and I don't think you knew it was bad, obviously, because he flipped and he got hit. But then when you see it in super slow motion, you realize it was driver's side. And it was that windshield top area that all NASCAR drivers say is one of the weakest points of the car. And I think that's when everyone was thinking the worst. And then those black screens were put up so the fans couldn't see as he was being taken out of the car. Everything pointed to him not making it.
Yeah.
And then...
Or at the very least, extremely severe injuries that change the outlook for the rest of his life, possibly.
Without a doubt. And now we see him walking out and piggybacking off of Ryan Newman being your sports brother. Mine's just NASCAR engineers, whoever made these cars the way that they made them, with the roll cage, with the 5-point harness, with the Hans device, the helmets, the seat that wraps around their heads. You see it. It is so much more advanced than it was just 20 years ago when Dale Earnhardt Sr. was driving. Yeah,
and you bring up Dale Earnhardt Sr. If Ryan Newman was driving the same car that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was driving, he would have died.
Yeah.
There's no way he would have survived in that. And that is the legacy that Dale Earnhardt Sr. has sort of left behind is all the changes that they made to those cars, to the tracks and everything else, and the procedures and the rescue crews that they have. The response time from those guys is phenomenal. And all of that is because of what happened way back in 2001. And it's not just Ryan Newman that has his life to thank for that. No. It's Kyle Larson. We saw his car scraping, ripped off against the catch fence. Austin Dillon, same thing. And he
in the three car, and he got hit, and he was spinning around. I was there for that one.
His car was shredded against the catch fence, and he got out immediately and started waving at the crowd. It was, I don't know how you protect these guys this way, but clearly smarter men than us are figuring, the smarter men and women than us are figuring this out, and they're doing a hell of a job.
And now you wonder, how quickly does Ryan Newman get back into the car? Does he get back into the car? Right now, Roush Fenway has a TBD listed as driver for their next race in Las Vegas. The way that he looked in that picture and the way that he's walking out, I wouldn't be surprised. Probably take a week off, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in the car in a couple weeks. This is what these guys do. Yeah. They all understand the risk that they're taking, but when you survive something like that, and if you're another driver and you see someone survive something like that, you got to feel like almost anything can happen. I mean, it has to be almost bad luck, like we saw with Kyle Busch when he hit one of the non-safer barrier walls at a weird angle in Daytona a handful of years ago, and the engine kind of kicked back into his legs and broke his foot or broke his leg, I believe, and he was out for a little bit of the season. But man, I mean, they have to feel somewhat invincible after seeing Ryan Newman walk out of the hospital today.
And I wonder if that's part of why some of these wrecks may appear even worse, and because they take more risks, knowing that they are fairly safe inside these cars. And I'm glad they are. I hope they don't take too many more risks like this, because that is heart-stopping. And the two people I think about the most when I say that is those two little girls he's walking out of the hospital with. I mean, they were watching that race. They saw all of that, and they know, I assume they were watching the race. I don't actually know
Delana Harvick wrote a post, Kevin Harvick's wife, that, at first when we still I think we knew he was all right. We knew he wasn't dead, but she had posted that, she was hanging out with her kids and Ryan's little girls, and they were just playing. Yeah. And she was watching them play and everything, and was so thankful she did not have to deliver the news of, hey, your father is no longer with us. And that was when you first, I saw the first photo came down of Ryan with his two daughters. And then after everything that we went through with Kobe, it was like, please, let's not do this again this fast. And thankfully we're not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the solution, though, at this point is that you still do about a 4-hour race, but you limit the cars to about 50 miles an hour, and we do a Daytona 200, right? I think that's probably the only way this is ever going to be a safe sport, but obviously nobody wants that, right? That's the thrill of it, is there is risk out there for these guys, and that's the draw in the sport. So, remarkable story. Hope to see him in a car again very soon, and it looks like we might hopefully get some news on that.
And what if and Denny Hamlin wins? That's kind of the footnote.
Oh yeah, also Denny Hamlin won.
He wins back-to-back 500s, 3 in 5 years, something that I guess Richard Petty has never even done. And the way that he did it, I mean, obviously Newman was out in front, got turned, Hamlin's, I don't even know how he missed him. I mean, just by centimeters. Then he wins one of the closest races, edging, I believe, Ryan Blaney there at the end. So an incredible race, and now we can kind of talk more about that as we know that Ryan Newman's going to be okay.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin now owns the 2 closest wins in the Daytona 500. That was the second closest in that race. So, if he's going to win it, it's going to be exciting. So, man, what a week already, and it's only Wednesday.
It's only Wednesday, but we're glad that Ryan Newman's with us on
We
on
absolutely
a Wednesday.
are. All right, let's keep the show going. We're going to go on to good tweet, bad tweet.
No, I got Aaron Gordon as my sports brother of the week.
Oh, that's right. We have another sports brother of the week. Go.
The dunk contest people's champ. I mean, this guy was robbed, and you have a good tweet about that.
Yeah, Orlando police, the day after the All-Star events and festivities were in Chicago, Orlando police tweets out, "We plan on reaching out to Chicago police today to investigate Orlando Magic forward 00 AG," that's Aaron Gordon, "being robbed of a dunk contest championship last night." And I responded to them that maybe they could also look into that cold case from 2016 when he was also robbed of the dunk contest.
So if you saw it this past weekend, Saturday night, Aaron Gordon, all 50s dunk off with Derek Jones Jr. of the Miami Heat. He dunks over Taco Fall to just like bring all of Orlando together into one big happy family. It's like everything we have here in Orlando. It's Taco from UCF. It's Aaron Gordon, the dunker of all dunkers, and he dunks over Taco at 7'5", 7'7" with shoes.
Without shoes, yes.
7'7" with shoes. It may have been 7'7.5". He had dress shoes on.
The outfit, he stole like Beetlejuice's pants or something.
So he dunks over him, and everyone in the arena, I think everyone in the world, thought that Aaron Gordon easily just did it. He the perfect dunk contest, 50s all the way throughout, and somehow ends up with a 47.
Yeah, because they tell these players, like, hey, we're going to do 4 dunks, and that's how many you need to come with to this dunk contest. So he comes with 4, gets all 50s. They still haven't decided the winner, so he has a 5th that he gets a 50 on. Yeah. And then they still haven't decided a winner, and he comes up with, hey, all right, I'll just jump over Taco Fall. And 47, which is what happens when the guy you're going up against has a former teammate on the judges panel.
Yeah, and Dwayne Wade threw it for Derek Jones Jr. But
Derek Jones Jr., did you see this? He got a deal with Puma after that dunk contest, too.
Aaron Gordon announced he was wearing his new shoes. It's a company from China. Oh. And so Aaron Gordon has his own shoes, and those were the ones he was wearing in the dunk contest.
Was the company Flubber?
Yeah, they may have been. But what about, so we're in Chicago, home of Kanye West, correct?
Is it? I'll look it up. You keep talking.
I'm pretty sure. Even if it's not, why did no one Kanye the trophy from him like Kanye did it with Taylor Swift?
Oh, good call.
Someone needed to go up there like
No, he
Shaq.
was born in Atlanta. But it's still a good premise.
Where did he grow up?
I don't know. Wikipedia says he was born in Atlanta.
Yeah, but where you're born doesn't mean where you grew up.
Hometown, Chicago, Illinois.
Thank you.
All right, you're right. Okay.
All right, I know my hip hop. Not really, but at least I knew that part.
You know your Taylor Swift award speeches.
Yes. But someone should have gone. Shaq should have gone up there. Dwight, somebody, Markelle Fultz, go up there and steal the trophy and really.
I'm gonna let you finish, Derek. But that dunk by Gordon was the greatest dunk I've ever seen. Yeah,
exactly. That's what we needed.
So real quick, of the 2 dunk contests, which was your favorite Aaron Gordon dunk?
I still think the off stuff, spinning around with the hoverboard.
Going below both legs.
Yeah. I mean, that picture is also so great. There was the one he did with Fultz, threw it off the side of the backboard this time.
Yeah, that
and it was
really
like
cool.
The one-handed spinning 360 from the side. I thought that one was nuts as well. But to put it in perspective, so Dwight Howard just does kind of a normal dunk with a cape on. That got a 49. And I know maybe the nostalgia, that helped. He had the Kobe Bryant number on.
He had the Kobe number on, yeah.
And you dunk over Taco Fall and you get a 47.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We need an investigation. Get the police on it. All right, any more sports brothers?
No, I have no more sports brothers.
Chris, do you have a sports brother? Chris does not have a sports brother. He's our producer. That's who we're talking to. All right. So we are now going to move on to our favorite segment, Good Tweet, Bad Tweet. And we got a couple here, good tweets. No, we have one good tweet. Go.
Field Yates from 30-30 to 2020, talking about Jameis Winston's LASIK surgery. 30-30 club, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. to now being able to see.
Yeah. It's going to be remarkable watching him more accurately throw the ball to the other team.
Why was this not something? He clearly didn't have contacts.
It was a well-known thing that he wouldn't wear his contacts during games, and he wore glasses other times too. But why? Why was he ever allowed to do that? Why did anyone think okay, we'll just let him go out there for 5 years plus college without fixing this? Being able to see is kind of important for quarterbacks.
I know. I think it was Bruce Arians said, he's just nearsighted, so he just can't see the scoreboard or whatever.
Yeah,
he can see No, but I'm nearsighted as well. I can't see. I could see something right on my computer right here, but a linebacker probably going to look a little blurry.
Maybe a little blurry, but also it's not just fixing the depth and that perception. Having better vision gives you better hand-eye coordination. That's science.
True.
So it just seems like you'd want your athlete, especially your franchise guy, to be at his best. And if you can do something that simple, a little LASIK eye surgery, it's very easy. I can do it at home. Get it done.
Drafted him first overall, and they wait.
Yeah.
I'm sure, obviously, it's the players' prerogative, but why not?
No, you hold him down on the table.
Yeah. You take a laser and shoot it into his eyeball.
Yeah, we're giving you the surgery, Jameis.
But that's the sad part is, are we going to lose Jameis Winston, who we compared to a box of Lucky Charms with razor blades inside? Because it can be so good at times, and then it could literally kill you.
Well, he's not getting finger enlargement surgery so that he'd stop fumbling, right? The guy still has those issues, and as long as he's still Jameis Winston, who can have incredible games where he's throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and then the very next game just looked like he has no idea what he's doing out there, or even more specifically, he has just moments in games where you just wonder, what the hell was that, Jameis? My favorite one of all time was in the playoffs in college with Florida State when they were playing against Oregon in the Rose Bowl, and he's backpedaling and looks like he has no idea where he's going to go with the ball. He just flails it. It goes straight up in the air. It was amazing. I've never seen that happen before on purpose.
Finger enlargement surgery?
Well, he might not be.
Would that make you almost, if they got fatter, you just fumble more?
Well, finger lengthening.
Okay, all right, finger lengthening surgery. Yes, the very common
finger lengthening. Yes.
All right, let's move on. Bad tweet. We're going to go with LeBron James. I believe he tweeted this out last night.
I've got it pulled up here if you need.
Listen, I know this is actually 2 tweets, 2 separate tweets, because he hasn't learned how to do the tweet thread yet. But, hey, that's beside the point. Listen, I know I don't play baseball, but I am in capitalized sports. And I know if someone cheated me out of winning the title and I found out about it, I would be irate. I mean, uncontrollable about what I could do. Listen here, baseball commissioner. Listen to your ... 5 dots in his ellipses. Next tweet. Players speaking today about how disgusted, mad, hurt, broken, etc., about this. Literally, the ball, in parentheses, baseball emoji, is in your court, parentheses, or should I say field. And you need to fix this for the sake of sports. Hashtag. This is all one hashtag. Just my thoughts coming from a sports junkie, regardless my own sport I play.
Yeah, I agree. Whatever that means. It reminds me of, did you ever see that old musical, The King and I? No. It's problematic. There's some racial stuff in there, but the King of Siam learns the word etc. and he uses it incorrectly throughout that movie. And I just, when you were reading that etc., yeah, it was just awful. That's a tweet, man. That's 2 tweets. Good for him.
It's 2 tweets.
What's funny is we all agree with him, even though we have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah, I just don't know what happened, because LeBron is a very well-spoken person, and this tweet just came across as too many bottles of his wine late at night, and the hashtag is just absurd. It's way too long. And that's the bad tweet of LeBron James.
And that's why it's bad. He's got like weird letters capitalized, like sports in the first part of the tweet. The S is capitalized.
No, but he was consistent. He capitalized it in the second tweet too.
And the would/could do with the exclamation point.
And the ball is not literally in his court, because that would mean there was actually a baseball in Rob Manfred's court field.
Yeah, all right. I think we've picked that apart enough.
Yeah, that's just the grammar part of it. Like you said, I don't disagree with it, because as you're hearing everyone just crapping on Rob Manfred after every time he gets to a microphone, and all the players, rightfully so, speaking out against what the Astros did and them getting absolutely nothing as far as punishment goes, and we'll see how this season plays out. I know Vegas actually put the over-under out for a number of times Astro players get hit by pitchers, I think 82.5. And Rob Manfred said, you don't do this, or we'll go the other way, and people are going to get penalized for penalizing the Astros players. I bet Altuve takes quite a few cleats to the shin on double play balls.
Yeah, I think so. There's going to be... The outrage right now is being stoked entirely by the players, right? Because we knew about this story and everything that had happened a month ago, and the punishments were handed down a month ago, and nobody really seemed that upset about the fact that he wasn't punishing the players. There was questions about it, but he gave his explanation of, we wanted them to come forward and tell us the truth, and we want them to do that in the future, so we sort of gave them a pass on this, immunity on this, and it seemed for a moment everyone was kind of like, okay, that's fine. But then the players came out as soon as they started reporting for spring training and said, that. That's these guys cheated. They stole opportunities from other people by doing this. And it's just, they are obviously furious about it. And I think if Rob Manfred doesn't do something about it, we are going to see that old school mentality of they're just going to handle it themselves then from the mound.
And I think that's the issue is, every day we're getting more players reporting, more big names. It's, it was Mike Trout saying, I think you guys would like to see what I would do with the baseball if I knew what was coming. And then I think it was Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton said he would hit 880 home runs in a season if he knew what was coming. And the issue then, just Rob Manfred made it so much worse by calling the World Series trophy a piece of metal.
Yes, correct. You have accurately identified what the trophy is made out of, but
he walked that back and apologized.
Yeah.
But it seems to show that he is out of touch a bit with obviously how the players would value a World Series trophy. They would think of it as more than that. And then you have the whole immunity thing. I feel like you could have still stripped them of the title.
It seems like such a ridiculous question to ask because he's the commissioner of baseball, but is this a guy who even likes baseball? I mean, you would think somebody who grew up loving the game and cherishing this and then worked his way up to being the commissioner, the highest office in this sport, would just have a reverence for the trophy and for the rules of the game and everything and treat this entirely differently. And he just hasn't. He's treated it very much like a person who is just trying to protect the bottom line for all the owners, which is his job.
Yes.
He's just not doing a very good job at it.
It just seems as though he had no idea that it was going to be going on this long. Yeah. I think he thought, I think it was the Carl Ravitch interview. I had the intestinal fortitude to release my report.
Yes.
Like that was the greatest thing that you could ever do. And
I applaud him for that transparency, sure.
Of course. But when it comes down to it, you had players cheating very blatantly.
Yeah.
Cheating. And they won a World Series. And these players who did not win the World Series, especially the Dodgers and the Yankees who got knocked out in the ALCS, they've got quite the beef.
Yeah, I mean, as far as cheating scandals go, everybody's got different opinions on the steroid scandal because everybody, whether or not everybody was doing it, what sort of impact it actually had on the game. But in terms of, actual cheating like this, I mean, I don't think baseball's really seen a scandal quite like this since the Black Sox? I mean,
I think the steroid scandal, because it seems as though right now on a grander scale went on for 15 plus years, and there were multiple players on teams that were winning World Series. I mean, Roger Clemens was on a team that won World Series with him doing
But
steroids.
nobody ever even put out the thought that like the Yankees should have to give up that
Their
World
title.
Series
Exactly.
ring.
That's true.
All right, we're going to move it along. We've got this crazy story from soccer. You definitely want to stick around with that. And we've got Degenerate Brothers coming up, and we're going to play our game, Is This an XFL Player? Christian's going to try and guess. But first, we're going to get to Jeff Turner, Orlando Magic broadcaster, guest on the show this week. Just a fantastic guy who's been a part of this community for a really long time and always has some great stories. Here's Jeff Turner. All right, we've got Jeff Turner, Orlando Magic broadcaster now, former Orlando Magic player, a guy who's been at every level of the game in basketball. He's been a high school basketball coach here in Orlando, too. Jeff, thanks for joining us, man. How was your All-Star break?
It's been pretty good. I got a chance to just kind of get away and relax over the weekend. And so it comes at a good time, not just for players, but for broadcasters too. It's kind of we recharge and get ready for the second half or whatever you want to, last third of the season, I guess it is now.
Jeff's good at math.
Yes.
But did you truly relax on Saturday after Aaron Gordon was robbed of the dunk contest? Because I found myself becoming more pissed off at a dunk contest that I knew was possible.
You know what? It's funny, guys. Is I was watching it with some friends, and my daughter began texting me and then calling me, and it was like, "Are you watching this? I can't believe this." I don't know. I guess after what Aaron's been through in the past, it didn't surprise me. I just think the format's all wrong. It needs to, they need 4 dunks, take the highest score, and let's move on. I don't really understand moving to the finals, and it's just crazy. It's he had the perfect score. That should have been it, but I think I was as mad maybe as you were, but I just kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, you can tell Aaron Gordon's pretty upset about it all. I just want to ask you real quick. So this franchise, the Orlando Magic, they've had Shaquille O'Neal, they've had Dwight Howard, they've had Aaron Gordon, Terrence Ross is on the team, Vince Carter's played for this team. Who's the greatest dunker in Orlando Magic history?
Ooh, man, how about that? Great question. I think Aaron has to be right up there. I mean, legitimately, he won 2 dunk contests. I mean, probably, I think most of the players, at least from 98 on, would probably say Vince Carter, just because of what, he was able to do in the dunk contest. He kind of set the stage for a lot of these young guys. I know Aaron Gordon looks up to him, but I just don't see how you can top what Aaron Gordon has been able to do. I just don't know how many guys can do what he did. I mean, just as simple as I thought the best dunk was the Markelle Fultz off the side of the board, catching that with one hand, 360 and finishing. I know we saw it, with Stuff. The one year was that 2016 when he did it. But, that one, the ball was just stationary. To catch it, and not knowing if Markel's going to put it in the right spot, I just don't know how many guys could do that. I'm not sure any of the guys that were in the contest could have done that dunk.
Yeah, and I'm always amazed at how effortless he makes it all look like. He could do those things in a game if the opportunity presented itself, it seems like sometimes.
Yeah, no question. I don't know if you guys saw, I saw somebody tweeted the world record in the high jump. Did you guys see that? It's 7 feet 11 and a half inches. Aaron basically jumped over a 7'6" guy and dunked a basketball. I mean, if you put in that kind of context, that was pretty amazing what he did.
Well, and if you think about the physics of the high jump, it's more about like where your center of mass is as you're going over the bar. Aaron Gordon's center of mass was probably over 7'11", I mean, like literally he could have jumped over a 7'11" is what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly. And not just flopping over, dunking a basketball. The concentration to do that.
Well, here's
amazing.
Why I would pick Shaq out of that, because he could go up, shatter the backboard, which he did in the game, and then you can't play anymore. Literally the walk-off.
Yes, he would just end games.
That's a good point. That would be the way that Shaq would get a perfect score. He would just break the board each time.
Yeah.
He'd have to keep moving if he was in the contest.
So I'm going to tell Aaron.
No, it's so interesting because dunking in a game and like dunking on someone, and we've seen Aaron do this quite a bit. We saw Vince Carter do it. You know, the amazing take the contact and dunk.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a different skill set than the creativity that is required to, you know, nowadays to shock people in the dunk contest. So it's almost like two different things, I think.
All right, let's get to something that actually matters in the grand scheme of the Magic and the playoffs. And you mentioned the last 30 or so games that we have left. What do you think that this team can do? Because we saw them really turn it on last year. Do you see that possibility here with this team?
I think it's a little different just because of the injuries. You know, not having, you know, Jonathan Isaac's a key piece. I think we can get by that. You know, be interesting to see you know, we're supposed to get DJ Augustine back. That'll give us a little bit more shooting. You know, we finished strong. Hey, the last two games before the break with, you know, Detroit and Atlanta, we scored, we moved the ball. Offensively, that's the way we have to play. I think this team can be as good defensively as that team that finished the season after the break last year. Right now, I'm just not sure we can score enough points, and so that'll be the big key.
It does sort of feel like they're headed for the 8th seed, maybe the 7th seed if a couple things go right. But if you look at the East and the teams up there in the 1, 2, 3, for a while there, I thought they looked like they would match up really well with Miami if they got them in the first round. I don't know how much anymore now that they have Andre Iguodala, but who do you look at there in the top of the East that you think maybe the Magic could match up well with if they get a chance?
I think Miami is a team. You know, I think everything would have to go well, but for whatever reason, we've played well against them in the past. You know, Boston is interesting. I'm afraid their depth is too big. Now, we're talking about matching up, not necessarily winning the series, you know, an outside. But Miami, Boston, Philly, for whatever reason, we've matched up well with them in the past. You know, we took all 3 games from Boston last year. Now they're a different team this year, obviously, but we've had success, especially up in Boston. We played Philly well, and you know, Miami we've had success against. So any of those 3, I don't know. It doesn't look to me like Toronto's going to let go of the rope, though. They just keep plugging on. They've done a heck of a job in their development of their young guys. And you know, the kid Terrence Davis, they got Brick coming off the bench, is as good as anybody they've had in their second unit, maybe even better than they had last year. So, you know, I don't know that it's going to change at the top 1 and 2 very much. So, you know, the interesting thing, guys, is we still have 3 games left with Brooklyn. Yeah. We won the first one, so there's a chance. Remember, last year we lost the head-to-head, finished with the same record, and ended up, you know, in a spot behind them because of that. 2 games behind Brooklyn now, 3 games head-to-head with them. Got a chance to maybe catch them. I understand Kyrie is still battling some soreness in his shoulder. So, you know, who knows what could happen. A lot can happen over those last 27 games.
Jeff, the first 55 games, I think Markelle Fultz had to be the biggest story for the Magic. Have you been just surprised, amazed at what he's been able to do after, I think a lot of people just thought he was a question mark when the Magic made that trade?
Yeah, you know, and I was one of them. You just don't know, right? You know, we make the trade. He struggles. There's such a huge part of this, not just physical, but the mental part of it. And I tell you, the more I watch him, and I just see things that he does, his feel for the game, his basketball IQ, to be 21 years old and have the grasp of the game and be as unselfish as he is. I mean, I am vocally on the air begging for him to be more selfish, you know, to be more aggressive, because I think he can. You know, I really believe with a summer, you know, he didn't even have the entire summer to work on his game and everything last year because they wouldn't let him really do much until late July. I just feel like what we've seen this year, he's going to come back next year, and by the All-Star break of 2020, what will it be, 2021, he's going to be special. I really think those guys, John and Hammond and Jeff Weltman, have really done a nice job in taking a chance on a former number one and really being patient with him, I think, is the big deal, and letting him develop and easing him into this thing. I think Steve Clifford and his staff have done a great job with him. I'm just ready. You know me, I'm a little more impatient than they are, and I just want, release the Kraken, man. Let him go. See what we can get here.
Yeah, and it's easy to forget that he's only played 87 games because he's been in the league for, 3 seasons, 3 seasons now. And so, 87 games, and some of that in Philadelphia, he was playing a little bit injured, but nobody really knew what it was. So he really doesn't even have a full season of healthy basketball under his belt yet. So I think everybody's sort of looking forward and saying, this guy still has a ton of potential beyond even what we've seen this year.
It's crazy. This is really, his rookie season, to be honest with you, because he's playing consecutive games. He's going through, I think right at the beginning of January, there was a little bit of a drop off. Maybe, he might have hit that little wall for a little bit, but man, he recovered very quickly, and has been playing lights out. So, I just love the way he gets his teammates involved. He seems to always make the right pass. I mean, he's got a stretch now where he's played I think it's 10 and a half quarters or 10 quarters and overtime with no turnovers. I mean, it's just incredible what he does.
When you take a look at the team, were you surprised at all at the move that they made with just making the deal for James Ennis at the deadline, or does that kind of fit with what we now know more about Jeff Weltman and John Hammond and their approach with this Magic franchise?
Yeah, I think it fits. I think this is what we've seen. They're very cautious. They're going to stay their course. They've got this long view of the team. They made investments in these young guys, and they just, they want to develop them and see what's, how this thing's going to play out in front of them. I mean, really, unless, I'm not saying that they had a chance to make a huge splash, they wouldn't do it. But given what was out there and what the options were, I wasn't surprised that they just kind of did something along the edge. I actually like the James Ennis pickup for a second round pick, a guy that's plays with energy and it's got a little edge to him. You always need a guy that's got a little, he's a little salty, it's got a little edge, something to prove. I think Michael Carter-Williams plays that way, and I think James Ennis will be right in there with him.
That's kind of the way you used to play too, right?
No, I just survived.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's another young guy that you mentioned or haven't mentioned, but you mentioned all the young guys that they've invested in. Mo Bamba's definitely one of those, and he's another guy that injury sort of derailed his development early on. What have you seen from him though? That do you feel like he's made the progress he needed to make this year since he's been back?
I think it was a little slow early. They were really concerned about the stress. I guess he had a little stress fracture over the summer and everything, and finishing that. And so, again, without being able to play, it really kind of slows you going into the season if you can't get up to game speed. But I tell you, I like what he's doing here lately. I think it started on that West Coast trip. For Mo, I think the big thing for him is to make, his 15 minutes, and that's pretty much what Steve Clifford has limited him to, is he's just got to go out and play with a high motor. And I think that has not always been the case with him, but I think it has become that way where he's starting to figure it out a little bit, in reacting to the ball a little bit. Kind of rebounding out of his area. He's going and getting it. He's going and getting block shots. I still think he's another guy. He's 21 years old. I'm not sure big guys, having been, that was kind of, I can identify with him a little bit. You don't really mature in the league as fast, maybe, as a guard might. And so just kind of figuring out where he is. I still think he can put on a little bit more size. But I think he's a perfect fit for an NBA 5-man center, whatever you want to call it. His ability, I mean, he really shoots the ball very well, and his ability to stretch the floor and rim run and protect the basket, I think, sets him up to have a long, long career in the NBA.
How long did that take you, Jeff, when you came to the league and you had to realize that you do have to have that edge? Because I think Mo just dominated at Texas because he had the size and athleticism, and now, you're playing against just as dominant guys every single night out.
Yeah, and remember, I came in, I had 4 years of college, so I came in like most back then at 22 years old. And the jump, and I don't think people really realize this. There are those outliers like LeBron and, those guys that come straight out or out of high school as LeBron did, or 1 year, and make an impact. Mm-hmm. But for most guys, I think it just takes a little bit of time because the speed, the strength, everything moves so quickly, and all the terminology is different. In college, Mo just sat back a lot in a zone defense and covered the middle. They ran a very simple spread offense. There's just so much more that you have to, be able to do. And it's not surprising that a young guy, it just takes him a little bit longer. I think he's getting it. Certainly he's working at it. The coaches rave about him. I talk with Mike Batiste, assistant coach that works with Mo. And, he's very positive about the steps that he's taken. Small, steps, but, this is a guy, I think when you look at Mo Bamba, you got to say, what is he going to look like when he's 25 years old? Could he be a dominant force at the 5 spot in the league? And I think the answer is probably can if he continues to work.
Wanted to ask you also, we know Darrell Armstrong is going to be inducted into the Orlando Magic Hall of Fame. Your career with the Magic overlapped with his a little bit. What do you remember from playing with Darrell Armstrong and what he was able to bring to that franchise?
I just, Darrell, his energy, his enthusiasm, everything about Darrell is infectious. He's one of those guys that just changes the team. When he first joined us during the 94-95 season at the end, and, just a free agent signing, and he didn't play during our whole run to the finals and everything, but you knew he was there. He was infectious. He was cheering. He was a great teammate. And any time in practice that he got an opportunity, that was his game. He practiced so hard. I mean, it is so hard to get to the NBA level. So many young people, college players, whatever, they want to make the jump, and it's so hard to do. And Darrell's story of coming from a small college, Fayetteville State, where he started out as a place kicker and then kind of just joined the basketball team because his coach saw him in intramurals, to get where he did through the minor leagues, playing overseas. He cherished every minute, and he was not going to let it, it wasn't going to be for lack of effort that he was going to be kicked out of the league. And he turned it into a, 13, 14-year career. It was unbelievable.
Jeff, I want to wrap it up with this. For people listening, maybe don't know, it's your uncle, right? That's the dancing usher?
Yes. That's my dad's baby brother.
Your dad's baby brother. Does he steal the show at any wedding, family events? How does that go? Do you have a chance at the dance floor?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. What's funny is, I don't know if you guys have heard me say it, he has sung the national anthem a few times at games as well. He has been, the entire Turner family, including my father, they're all musicians. They play multiple instruments, they sing, but for some reason it skipped. I don't know if it skipped a generation with me or what, but I have none of those skills. But I will tell you that none of them have the ability to make a free throw or let alone shoot a 3-point shot.
Are you sure you're in the right family then?
Well, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not.
All right, Jeff Turner, Orlando Magic broadcaster. You can hear him on the TV broadcast with David Still there on Fox Sports Florida. We appreciate you coming on. You're an honorary sports brother now, my friend.
This is awesome. What a treat for me. I feel like I don't know where I'm go any further up now. I reached the pinnacle of my career now, being on Sports Brothers.
You're way too kind. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, man.
So thanks to Jeff Turner for coming on and letting us know about the musical talents of his entire family. But there's something else we need to talk about.
Yes, we really need to talk about this. There is a soccer player in France who has been suspended for 5 years. 5 years for biting his opponent's penis. Okay. We'll get to the details. All right. So it's a soccer game in France. It's a lower league soccer game in France that ends in a 1-1 tie. A few players get in a scuffle after the game in the parking lot, and the guy who was the recipient of the bite got in between. He was trying to break it up, and he somehow ends up needing 10 stitches on his penis because it gets bit.
4 days he missed from work. I just take the whole week.
Yes,
take the whole week.
And I guess the soccer federation or whoever's in charge of this league decided that he was part of this scuffle. He got a 6-month suspension, so 10 stitches.
I believe it was the other guy in the fight. The peacemaker just got his injury, and that was it.
Oh, okay. I thought
it was because there were two guys fighting, one from either team.
Yes,
the biter and the other fighter.
the biter and the fighter
got the biter got 5 years. The fighter got whatever with the other suspension, and the peacemaker ended up getting 10 stitches. And 4 days off work.
I just wonder though, like how do you get yourself in a position in a fight that you can have that has somebody bite your penis, and is your penis just out?
The only thing I can think of is if you remember Chris Jones, the Kansas City Chiefs defensive lineman, ran in the combine, and he was wearing just spandex, and apparently he's so well endowed that it just came out while he was running in the 40-yard dash on live national television. Maybe the peacemaker is gifted like that, was running over, and it was just there.
See, and I thought the 6-month suspension went to the guy who got bit. I thought he was being given 6 months for flopping.
I guess so.
I guess not, though. All right.
But it just never. I mean,
I'm so uncomfortable even talking about this story. I don't know.
I mean, I've been involved in some scuffles.
Yeah.
And how does that even cross your mind? Like, I'm here. Like, did someone have him in a headlock that was down in that area? Were they just in a big pile on the ground, like a football scrum? Where you hear that, like, when guys are going for the football, that if they want it, they'll grab some balls and steal the ball away or break a finger.
Very, very rarely do we get a good biting story in sports. There was Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson way back in the day. And this one.
But I wonder, like, if he's just out at the pub or the bar with some guys and you need an 11th man, and you're like, hey, Jacques, would you like to come out? We don't have any subs today. Nope. Still serving my 5-year ban for biting another guy's penis.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, Jacques, you stay here. We'll see you later.
Also, we don't want to drink with you again.
See you never.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know the guy's name, but we'll call him Jacques. And Jacques, you messed up, buddy. All right. We're just going to move on from there and get to Degenerate Brothers.
It was a great week of XFL action.
Oh, man. So we're gambling on the XFL because we have nothing else to do. We also gambled on the Daytona 500. Let's do that one real quick. We each picked 5 drivers. You had Denny Hamlin.
I did.
So you won.
Boom.
So I have to buy you a case of beer or a 6-pack or whatever. I don't even know what our bets are anymore.
And then you have to buy me beer.
I have to buy you beer, but you still owe me beer too.
Yeah, so we gotta take care of that.
Offsetting beers, I guess.
No, there will be beer buying.
There will be beer buying. Okay. All right. So now we're back to the XFL. You went 4-0. I was brilliant and decided I was just going to pick against your pick. So I went 0-4, and I think I'm 1-7 now.
1-7.
For the year.
I am 6-2.
So this contest might be over with already.
We still got, I don't know how many weeks the XFL has, but we have as many weeks as left as the XFL.
Yes.
So I'll go real quick through my pick. Tampa Bay Vipers home opener this week at Ray J, and Tampa Bay is still looking for their first offensive touchdown. That is that Mark Trestman offense, baby. Vipers are 6.5-point underdogs at home against the Roughnecks. Give me the Roughnecks. I'll take the Renegades -5 on the road at Seattle. I'll take the Battlehawks -10, laying a big 10 points at home against the Guardians. And then give me the Wildcats as the dog, a home dog, getting 8.5.
All right, so we've got a couple differences here. I, too, am going to take Houston because, man, Tampa, that's bad. And then I'm going to go with Seattle, though. I'm going to just ride those Sea Dragons. I know they're the Dragons, but I'm just going to keep calling them the Sea Dragons all year. And then give me the Guardians and I wrote the DC Defensors. I think it's Defenders. Yeah. I think I just can't type. So there you go. I'll take Houston, Seattle, New York, and DC. All
right, and then we now need to play the game.
Yes, and now it's our world-famous game that everybody loves playing now. We need to make this into a board game. It is this a person who scored a touchdown in the XFL? Or this week I'm going with, is it a former governor from the state of Florida?
Okay.
All right, you ready for this?
How many former governors are there?
A lot. It goes way back to like the early 1800s.
This is bad.
Or 1700s.
I think my state history teacher is going to listen to this and be very unhappy with me.
Oh, probably. All right, here we go.
How many
we have 5. Okay, so we're going to start with James Butler.
I'm going to go governor.
That is Houston Roughnecks player. So you're 0-1.
Scored a touchdown. Huh?
Yeah. Sidney Katz.
Governor.
That is a governor from 1917 to 1921, part of the Prohibition Party. All right. Leroy Collins.
Governor.
That's a governor from 1955 to 1961's. Donald Parham.
Oh, Donald Parham. That is an XFL player.
Oh, he knew that one.
He's the one from Stetson. That's right.
That we talked about over the weekend. I knew that name sounded familiar. All right. Last one. Marcellus Stearns.
XFL.
That is a governor from 1874.
Wow.
So what'd you do?
What party did we get? I was 2 and 3.
I think he was a Republican. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That was fun. That was a good category.
All right.
And we'll do it again next week.
All right, let's finish it up with some dad jokes. I'll go first because mine's just not very good. It's inspired by Jameis Winston. Why aren't there any dad jokes about eyes?
Why?
Because we just don't see the point.
Good. What's a cannibal's favorite movie?
I don't know.
Gladiator.
All right. I like that one. Okay. Thanks for listening to Sports Brothers, everyone. Christian Bruey, Joe Kepner. If you want to watch the shows, they're on the WFTV YouTube page or the WFTV Now app on your smart TV and all those devices.
Rate, subscribe, and review. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and we'll see you back here next week.
And share with all your friends and family. Chris, play the music.